Greetings, 1050. How we doing, awesomes? Hope you had a great weekend. Hope you had a nice Halloween. um, I did. Watched some scary movies with my kids and some candy and ate too much and everything else. So now I'm recovering. But anyway, welcome to November 1st. It's Monday. We are week 10 already. We are definitely on the stretch home as we finish up. We'll finish up project 2, and there's a small project 3. Nothing too serious to worry about, but we'll talk about it later. But we're going to start something now that we've kind of done some research for project 2. Now we're going to start putting it together. I've challenged us over the last couple of weeks to start finding the requirements for our particular field, right? The career that we're choosing, our passion, the thing that we're passionate about, the thing that we think we're going to want to do when we graduate or eventually. So kind of got those things going on this week. I provided you with a project 2 an outline, section headings template that you can download and use, and then just start inserting your information as you find it, as we kind of talked about. And one thing that I do want to kind of point out, and it's kind of like the whole thing this week, is really all I want you to focus on right now is we're just going to write the introduction paragraph this week. Okay, that'll be due Sunday. So just going to write the introduction paragraph. And next week, if you want to look ahead, we're going to do the preparation and the working conditions paragraphs, right? So each one of these, we're going to try to get a good solid paragraph. If it takes 2 paragraphs, you can have a 2 paragraph, but we're focusing right now on just kind of like building this thing as we go along. Since we've got a few weeks here, I think we can utilize those to our advantage. Instead of trying to write the whole thing at one time, we're going to kind of do what I call the chunking method. So we'll start this week with the introduction. We'll talk about the introduction here in a minute. And then we've got next week, we'll talk about preparation and working conditions paragraphs. And finally, we'll finish up with the working maintenance and conclusion paragraphs. And then, of course, last couple of weeks, kind of Thanksgiving week, we'll talk a little bit about project 3. We'll do it that final week, and then we'll submit it the finals week. So that's kind of a little bit of an outlook for the rest of the semester. But we'll pop up in our week 10 overview. And of course, I'll be back to talk to you in another video here momentarily, specifically about the introduction. But so here's where we've been acquiring sources for project 2. This is we're writing in our field assignment. We're also been loosely referring to that after watching the Larry Smith TED Talk a few weeks ago. He talked about finding your passion, right? So hopefully you've connected with that. It could be your specific career that you're already going into. Hopefully we're starting to get some sources that tell us the distinctive requirements for that particular field, career, passion, and then examining controversies or communication, or largely what I'm kind of talking about, like issues. What are some of the issues in your field? And we've used the example before. So if you're in the medical field, let's say you're thinking about going into just even to say pediatrician, for example. So one of the current issues as a pediatrician is when to vaccinate. Do we vaccinate kids that age? Which vaccination, right? Which company? Have they been approved? Do we feel safe about that? That could be an issue. Of course, an issue in is whether to be vaccinated or not. There's a lot of that that's controversial. Sometimes we get hung up on the word controversy, so I always make sure just to say issues. And then we talk about communication. How are they communicating? And we'll talk more about that when we get to that area. And so this week we're going to kind of talk about the outline for this project. I'm going to reiterate and make sure that everyone's using Grammarly. I think looking over a lot of the finishing up the rhetorical analyses. We still make sure that we've downloaded Grammarly and that we're using it. It's a wonderful resource. I'll talk more specifically about that. And then we want to write our introduction paragraph. All right, so we've located our credible sources. We've talked about the CRAP test. We've talked about currency. We've talked about relevancy. We've talked about accuracy. We've talked about the authority of the author. Of course, we talked about the purpose, the CRAAP. Refer to the handout if you still need to make sure that all of our sources are very reliable to help us inform us. Writing about this career that we're in, our passion, helps us talk about the controversies or the issues, how people in our field, how individuals, how men and women communicate in our field. So we